A man in his mid-50s sits across from me. Weathered face, calm posture, and also the kind of mustache that suggests he's seen some things. He strokes it slowly, looks me straight in the eye and says, "Well, Ben, this is just who I am. I can't change that anymore." And every time I hear someone say those words, I quietly wonder how much debt I could erase if I got €1 for every time they were spoken. I'm fairly certain I could wipe out at least half the national debt of a small country, just on that line alone. So I ask him calmly, "Then what brought you here?" And without hesitation he says, "Well, maybe you'll give me some insights that help me behave a little differently. Maybe then I'll stop bumping into the same wall over and over again." And again. If I had €1 for every time someone said that exact sentence to me, I'd probably be able to take care of the other half of that national debt too. Because here's the thing. The man, like so many others, is holding on to two deeply flawed beliefs. The first is this strange conviction that people are static, that we're fixed like machines, and that the older we get, the less flexible we become. The second mistake? Thinking that if you just behave a little differently, your problems will disappear. As if your actions alone could override the entire internal system that created them in the first place. But the truth is, we change every day, even if we don't notice it. We shift. We adapt. We respond to our surroundings. The problem isn't that we can't change. The problem is that we cling so tightly to the beliefs we've built around who we think we are. And those beliefs, those invisible, inherited, repeated thoughts, are what make life feel hard. Not the job, not the people, not the traffic or the politics or the weather. It's the belief system we refuse to challenge. And here's the kicker. Trying to change your behavior while keeping your beliefs exactly the same is a guaranteed recipe for stress. Because pretending to be someone you're not, forcing new habits on top of old wiring, isn't transformation. It's performance. It's exhausting. It's disconnected. And people feel it. They don't always know what they're sensing, but something doesn't quite land. You're not fully there. You're not fully you. And if you're not fully yourself, who exactly are you trying to be? You're not them. You're not the old version of yourself either. You're stuck somewhere in between. Not quite here. Not quite gone. Neither fish nor fowl. And people will pick up on that energy. And most of the time they won't respond kindly. Here's the truth most people overlook. Your behavior isn't something you control directly. It's not a list of conscious choices. Behavior is an automatic outcome, a natural extension of who you believe you are in that moment. It's a mirror of your self-image. That's why no one has ever truly owned the dance floor without first believing, deep down, that they're a great dancer. The movement follows the mindset. The action follows the attitude. And the attitude follows the belief. So the real question isn't what are you doing? It's who are you being? And to make it just a little more uncomfortable, who were you an hour ago? And the hour before that? And the one before that? Do you really believe you are the exact same person the whole time? Think again. Because what we call personality is often just a collection of temporary states. Have you ever been truly angry? Stressed and rushed? Or completely joyful and carefree? In each of those states, you weren't just feeling different. You were different. Your thoughts changed. Your tone changed. Your body changed. During anger, maybe your shoulders tightened. Your voice sharpened. Your forehead furrowed. The world felt full of friction. Everyone became a problem. But during joy, during those rare, expansive moments of freedom, you probably laughed louder, smiled wider, moved more easily. The world felt kind. People felt lighter. And for a while, your worries just fell away. You were still you, but not the same you. And that's where change begins, not with behavior, but with the recognition that you are not one fixed version of yourself. You are many. You shift. And that shifting self-image is what drives every word, every reaction, every step you take. If I put it very simply, you could say this: just the act of recognizing your different states, noticing them, naming them, choosing them, already makes you a different person. It doesn't take years of training. It doesn't require a reinvention of your identity. It starts with awareness. And from there, the shift begins. So let me take you somewhere for a moment. Imagine yourself in that carefree state, the one you slipped into on that holiday afternoon. You're lying in a hammock by the water, the sun warming your skin, a soft breeze brushing past your face. You're holding a cocktail that tastes like summer. Somewhere behind you, laughter drifts in from a nearby table. There's music playing, nothing too loud, just enough to make you smile without thinking. You have nowhere to be, no emails to answer, no one to impress. You're just here. Now pause. How does that feel in your body? What happens to your breath, to your shoulders, to your inner voice? Now here's the question. What if you could bring even just a fragment of that state, that lightness, that openness, into a conversation at work? Not the hammock or the cocktail, but the mindset. What if you entered that difficult meeting with your manager, or that uncomfortable call with your friend from that state? Notice how your tone would change. Notice how your posture softens. Notice how your sense of threat begins to fade. And with it, the need to defend, control, or win. Because the truth is, the version of you that shows up for any conversation is not fixed. You can choose who walks in. You can choose what part of you takes the lead. And once you realize that, a lot of life starts to feel more flexible than you were told it had to be. Of course, we still have that remarkable man with the mustache, the one who truly believed he couldn't change anymore. And yes, let's be fair, there are some things in life that won't shift easily. If you really don't like fish, you probably won't become a sushi lover overnight. If you've never been good at sports, it's probably not the best idea to take up competitive gymnastics at 54. And if you're over 50 and still dreaming of a Formula One title, well, you might want to adjust your schedule. But when it comes to personality, when it comes to character, we are far more flexible than we like to admit. We are, in fact, more bendable than a rubber band. If, and only if, we decide to be. If you're willing to challenge your limiting beliefs, the quiet ones that whisper, "This is just how I am." If you're curious enough to explore your own emotional states, to study them like weather patterns instead of personal truths. If you're open to practicing new ones, not pretending, but learning, rehearsing, becoming. If you're willing to go through a genuine shift in identity, then yes, you can grow, and not just a little. You can go from the shyest person in the room to someone who lights up every conversation. You can go from being a chronic worrier to someone who sees life through the lens of possibility. From someone who shrinks to someone who expands. It's not magic. It's not easy. But it is entirely possible. Because everything changes once you get clear about who you've been and who you're willing to become.